What's up? This is episode 2 of the middle class cast, and we just got back from watching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which is the latest movie in the MCU. God, it's funny sometimes, like, people talk about, like, Zac Efron's interested in the MCU like it's the fucking NBA. Like, Tom Holland's gonna sign a 4-year contract for Spider-Man.
Oh man,
Was he the point guard? No.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just got back. Technically it's out tomorrow, but you know how movies are. You can see it the day before.
Yep.
9 times out of 10. Even earlier, like Sonic 2, you could actually see it 2 days early at certain theaters. But
With the digital deluxe edition.
yeah, the Sonic Oranges edition. But only like one theater near us could even do it, and that was in another state. But anyways, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, directed by Sam Raimi, produced by Kevin Feige. Benedict Cumberbatch is the main role, as well as Elizabeth Olsen, who you guys probably know as Wanda, or if you watch WandaVision, she is now Scarlet Witch, which they definitely elaborate on in this movie. I'd say
that's for sure.
we're going to talk spoiler-free stuff, just like general plot, what we liked, what we didn't like, and then I will give a wink when we talk about spoilers, which will be its own section in this podcast. But I guess just first impressions, since we're fresh off seeing this movie, what'd you guys think? I'll start with Ian. I'll go last.
Okay. Well, first thing, you already know who we are. You know, Ian and Cody, we didn't do the introduction this time, but you already know who we are. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, all of our fans, right?
All
Yep.
20 of you.
Yeah, that we can
Love you guys.
Double
that we can-
digits.
we
Whoa.
can name and by first name here.
Love
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys. Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed it. I really liked like the new elements they brought. The character building was well done. Basically, I'm just gonna give it a good recommend. WandaVision is definitely required viewing. You know, if you're gonna get a lot
Yes.
less out of it if you don't see that first. So just letting you guys know. But I give it the thumbs up. Characters well handled. The VFX were fantastic.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. If you were to give it like a
Absolutely.
number between like, want to do like 1 and 5?
1 and 5.
Oh wait.
Oh, well,
That's
we were
harder.
just talking
I mean,
about like
yeah,
our,
we talk about scales
our
and like
scale.
I usually go off that IMDb one where like classic, solid movie, super memorable. That's gonna get like an 8.5. Most people go off the 10 though, right?
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
so like is 5 middle of the road, like nothing super great, but also
Oh, you
like
want to go 1 through
watchable?
10 instead?
1 to
do
10.
you want to do or do you want to do 5?
We were just
1
talking
through
about like
10's
our 1 to
fine.
10.
5 I would consider like an average movie.
Yeah, let's put like a base for it. Are we doing like all movies or just Marvel? And like we'll set like, for example, this is like a 5. This
Like,
is
I
a
mean,
10. We could do that.
Should we do like a quick version of that scale we were talking about on the way here?
Eh.
So we were talking about our way that we scale.
Well, we were
ratings
thinking like
for
I was thinking the way that a lot of people scale it.
how a lot of people scale things.
Not even me necessarily.
Because like, well, I'll at least explain our definition of a 10. 10, you know, hits all the bases objectively, but also like with little to no issues. But it also has to hit a couple bases subjectively. Like it definitely resonates with you in some form. That's what really makes
It has to nail some aesthetic or have a character that you genuinely care about.
that pushes you
um,
forward. That pushes.
It has
it
to
from
have
9
some
to 10.
unique scenes. Another way to think about this is after you watch the movie, you know, a day, a week, even a month, years later, do you still sometimes think of it and it still hits you somehow? Like you actually care about the characters. You go like, I can't believe that was actually that good still. Because if you watch the movie and it was decent, but you're not even thinking about it, like what is that Jeremy Johns thing? Like in T minus, you know, like his rating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you know, that might be like a 5. If you're not even thinking about it a day later, it's like automatically a 5 or less probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say that's a good
Yeah.
scale. Like,
So if you want to know my point on the scale, I'm gonna give it like somewhere between like 8.5 and 9. Like I really liked Multiverse of
Mhm.
Madness. It really kept me on the edge of my seat. Not gonna go into specifics, but the horror elements and some of the multiversal elements, kind of wish they expanded a little more. Like they visited a few more. I wish they visited a few more places, but what they did do, they did really well. So I'm gonna give it somewhere between 8.5 and a 9
okay, Cody,
for
what do
my
you think?
initial thoughts there.
All right. Well, I got to get this out there. After I watch a movie, to put it into perspective with other films, it's like I have to give it time to sit with me
Mhm.
to truly give like, you know, my final verdict on it. Because the whole thing is there's like the relevancy. If you saw a movie you loved, but you saw it like 5-10 years ago, it's not super fresh in your head. So the emotions are still there, but they've kind of died down a bit.
Yeah.
I just watched this. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But okay, for this scale, can we give like a point something? Do we have to do a solid 7
you
or
do a
8?
point.
All
It's
right.
fine.
Because I'd give
There's
it like
no one's like judging our ratings here, so
yeah.
No.
do what you want.
I'll give
opinion's
it
your
a
opinion.
oof. I'm gonna say like a 7.5.
That's fair.
It has moments that feel like it can hit that 8.5 or 9 at times, but something about the pacing just doesn't click with me.
That is one thing.
It's
I'm
not
definitely gonna
bad.
knock
Like,
it
don't get
for.
me wrong. And also, this is stylistically very different than all of the MCU. I give it props for that. They really let Sam Raimi insert his style into this film, and I think it benefits from that. But also, something about the pacing, just how many characters and how many things they were introducing. And also, another thing, I'm not going to say it's false advertising. It's kind of just the internet and how fans are, but we all just kind of had in our head these expectations going in with the title of Multiverse of Madness. And if you go in with that mindset and you're here for a lot of like fan
Crazy different
servicey,
places.
just like crazy characters just popping in and left and right
You're
and
not getting
world
that.
hopping.
And just to
It's-
preface that,
yeah.
there are some that are like,
Yeah, don't get me
wow.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get to that when we get to the spoiler section. But
But
if you're going in with those fan service expectations, don't.
And that's a good thing that you mentioned that, because I think the best way to go into any Marvel movie is having no expectations. Because if you read on the internet, it's like, well, Deadpool was in like 4 pixels of the poster or some like random thing.
Yeah.
That's just like
Then
stuff
that's-
where like
it's
Tobey
gonna
Maguire's
There's
in
been
the
so
movie.
many
Even gonna
theories that don't
subconsciously
happen.
screw
It's like
with
in the
you.
back of your
Yeah.
head, so it's like best not to read that stuff. And segueing into that, to
Mhm.
give my score, I'm honestly going to meet you guys in the middle. I'm going to give it an 8.
That's fair.
I think
Okay.
well, for one thing, obviously it's a Marvel movie, and I'm a fan of most of the MCU films. That was a factor of me going to see this. Another one is Sam Raimi's directing style. He does a lot of callbacks to his older work, and that was something
Absolutely.
I expected, and I was very happy that he did. So, some of the stuff I want to explain, that'll be spoiler territory. But I think the way this was shot, the visual effects, the way they actually like Doctor Strange's powers look better. Like, I'd say from an effects standpoint, this is probably one of, if not
The
one of
best
the
looking.
most unique MCU film, just with demonstrating power. You know, going
Yeah.
through all the the multiverses,
Yeah, for
everything looked
sure.
aesthetically pleasing and intimidating at the same time,
Yeah,
because
well-
you have Sam Raimi's horror elements trickling into a lot of
Yeah.
things.
We'll get more into that in the spoiler section as well.
Definitely, because
Mhm.
there's a scene I wanted to talk about. But yeah, I'd say overall, I'd say it's a no-brainer. Go see this movie.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
if you follow the MCU. It's a pretty important, if not the most important movie since like No Way Home, Endgame, Infinity War. It's like up there in
Yeah.
terms of introducing characters as well as just
Changing the world going forward.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I just to get my opinion on there, like over like the past few years, past few movies, games, other media, I've like fallen in love with Doctor Strange. I really like the character of Doctor Strange, his abilities. It's kind of interesting because my taste in Marvel characters has changed. Because like when I was brand new into it, I used to be just like Iron Man, big tech, the Hulkbuster suit, that kind of thing. But over time, my like preferences have started to shift more towards the mystic arts and those kind of characters. So yeah, I really like Doctor Strange as a character, so I was hyped for this from the get go. But
Alright.
if I had to like put one central complaint, could have used more runtime, because this movie's only like what 2 hours 8 minutes
2
with
hours,
credit?
6 minutes. I
6 minutes
think.
with credits.
Yeah,
There,
it's
by the way,
relatively short.
there are 2 post-credit scenes.
There's two,
Just so you guys
two
know,
post credit
Yep.
scenes. We'll get more into details in the
on
spoiler
those
talk,
if you
but,
want to know what they are. Yeah.
the other thing is like, but yeah, honestly, big complaint, could have used a longer runtime. I would have been okay with this being 2.5 hours. Just give it a little more time to breathe, because the pacing of this movie is a little quick. I mean, it's still manageable, but a little quick. So just expect that going in. But yeah, it's basically our service level thoughts on Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, go see it. So, do you want to just get right
Get
into
right into
spoilers?
spoiler talk.
All right, wait.
Wah.
All right, in the next like few seconds, I'll do a countdown. We're gonna talk spoilers.
We'll
If
put
you
a
wanna skip
timestamp
this
on
section
screen.
and go to when we talk about lollipops or something. You can do that.
Yeah.
Whatever we talk about next. But here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's talk about the Illuminati.
That
I have
was-
a few things to say about this.
Oh,
So
I have a lot to say. On
yeah, I
that.
know you do. I knew you were saying stuff after we finished
Mhm.
watching. First of all, John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. One, I called it, and
Oh,
two, perfect. Now that I see it on screen, it makes
It
sense.
works. I want to see him as
Mhm.
Mr. Fantastic again.
And getting Patrick Stewart back as Charles Xavier with the yellow hover chair, pretty cool touch.
Black Bolt.
Black Bolt was cool.
Honestly, I never thought they were gonna bring him back, considering how bad the show did. But I love the character in the comics.
Did he have
so-
that suit in Inhumans?
He didn't have the mask.
The mask.
I don't think. I never even finished it. I watched like the first episode and I was out.
And then there was Captain Carter, who was cool to see in live action.
Yeah, that's cool.
Seeing the new shield and the jetpack from
Yep.
What If.
Mhm.
And then you have the new Captain Marvel.
Which is
We didn't see too
what
much
it,
of.
I keep forgetting. What's the name of
I forgot.
Monica
Okay,
Rambeau's
that's
mom?
I
Oh,
can't remember her
just
first
watched
name.
it.
But yeah, it's
But that's who that is.
it's
yeah.
basically Carol Danvers'
Co-pilot.
best friend, basically. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And this is just like alternate universe where she
got
did
the
that
powers
test
of-
run and ends up,
Yeah.
getting the powers instead.
And then you got Baron Mordo.
essentially.
So that's
His
your
name is
group.
Carl.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't know his name was Carl.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to talk about, the fight, because when they first show up,
We're not really going in like plot order now. We're just going into like.
I'm just gonna
big
kinda
moments.
Yeah,
sprawl
just kind
out.
of go around.
but this is
whatever
something
pops
that
in your head.
I think the fight overall was probably like one of the biggest disappointments for me. Just because one thing, Mr. Fantastic literally telling Wanda
Yeah,
what Black Bolt can do
that was the big thing.
is the
Joey and I
dumbest
had.
thing
That was-
in air quotes, the smartest human being on the
Yeah.
planet could do.
exactly.
It just, and then he throws his arm out like an idiot and gets turned into pasta. Like literally is like in a colander and like splits
Yeah.
apart.
Can I just say the VFX? I got to talk about the VFX real quick, especially during like the decimation of the Illuminati. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Like that, Sam Raimi really flexed his horror chops at those VFX because watching what happens to Black Bolt and watching
the
what
way they
happens to
all
all
get
those,
taken
just
out.
like
That's the
wow.
one thing I will give this. The deaths were creative. I just wish they didn't happen in the first 4 minutes of them appearing.
I kind of wish
Yeah.
they got to do a little more.
Now I'm sure Mr. Fantastic there will probably be an Earth 6161 because this
Yeah.
is Earth 383 or is it 838?
I'm not even gonna act
Think it
like
was
I remember the
838.
number as
So
soon as you
yeah,
guys-
this is Earth 838. So another thing, that's the only named Earth in this movie besides 616.
It's nice that they
Mhm.
actually like started
Acknowledged it.
naming. Now that we officially have
So,
the
yeah.
Prime Marvel universe.
In terms of
named.
multiverse, let's talk about how many different universes did we really see?
Did we
And we didn't get many
see-
in depth. That was the only other one we got a good look at, like walking around on normal streets and then kind of their whole superhero organization dynamic.
Well, the reverse streets, go on. Red.
Other than that, we
Yeah.
had at the beginning that other area where
The Book of Ushanti is.
yeah, what was the first Doctor Strange called there?
That's
That
Defender
doc-
Strange.
Yeah, that whole universe. We didn't get to see the rest of it, but that's clearly a different one.
It's like a
That's-
weird space purgatory.
they do say it's like the
Yeah.
space between universes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
it is. Yeah. And then
And
you
then-
have 616, then 838,
and then we have where
where Sinister
Third
Strange
Eye
is.
Strange is.
yeah,
Basically like an alternate Earth 616 where it's like
Mhm.
frozen over.
Yeah, and I'm pretty certain that that's the Doctor Strange from What If Doctor Strange Lost His Heart Instead of His Hands, which by the way, fantastic episode of that show.
Yeah,
It's
you
my
should definitely watch it if you're
recommendation.
gonna go see this movie as well, and obviously the first Doctor Strange.
Oh, and then they do show the other universes when they're both kind of tumbling through.
Where they go through like all those,
but
and, like,
they
the
don't,
big
they don't
flashy
like hyper
sequence.
fixate on any single one. It's
Yeah.
all Easter egg stuff.
Which
like I think I caught the Noir one, and what else did you guys?
there was
catch?
that rotoscope like animated one that was
Yeah.
like the last
The
one
paint-
before he gets all cubed.
The paint
Mhm.
one.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
that was
said
cool.
Platoon to you.
Yeah. So it's like I really like the multiverses that they showed, even in that fast sequence. But also, it's like that's I'm gonna say it again. My big disappointment. I wish they explored some more
Explored them.
multiverses in
And
depth.
here's my point about the Illuminati. When we
Universes, I
talked
mean.
about this beforehand, I kind of figured Mr. Fantastic was going to be in all these guys.
Yeah,
But I figured they were going to combine them from all the other multiverses to form the
to
Illuminati.
form that exactly.
Not just all of them chilling in
Yeah,
838.
it's supposed to essentially be, the highest intellect from different respective universes coming together.
to fight
That do
Scarlet
study this thing.
Witch and
It just
study
so happened to be this one universe where they had a good grasp on it,
Yeah,
which
they're
is odd.
all
I
there,
mean,
yeah.
I don't hate it, but yeah, definitely different than what Joey and I were.
Yeah, maybe they
looking
wanted to
for,
cut
I
on
guess.
runtime, like you said. You wish there was more. I guarantee if they had more runtime,
Yeah.
they probably would have established that maybe they could have changed up the plot to being we have to go to all these different Earths to get
Mhm.
Mr. Fantastic and this new Captain Marvel and Charles Xavier.
We're like round up all these people in a team effort to fight the Scarlet Witch, which I'm guessing another product of what caused this movie's shortened runtime and a bit of the pacing issues, the directorial changes. Did it start with Sam Raimi or did it start with that other guy that I
I
can't
have
remember
no
his name?
idea.
I can't remember. Like,
I'm gonna quick
correct
look
me
it
if
up.
I'm wrong, guys. I think, again, this was like so long ago. How long has it been since we even got any news on this movie?
A couple
Uh,
of years
years,
ago, because
yeah.
it was supposed to come out before No Way Home,
And-
and then it got delayed.
And didn't they announce Sam Raimi and then they took him off because he wanted to push the label on what they could do?
I think so.
But then they brought him back. I
Yeah.
could be totally wrong. But
Speaking of Sam
that's what
Raimi, I wanted
remember.
to talk about some of my favorite shots in this movie.
Okay.
My one was when Gargantos or Shumagorath, or however you know him, when he's looking through the city and it gets his like actual eye perspective.
Yeah.
That was very much like a callback to like the first person views. I think like Evil Dead did it, as well as Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock's arms when he was going for people in the
yeah.
hospital. That was a cool callback.
Mhm.
I also really liked the trap in. I keep forgetting the name of the temple.
It's not Kamertaj. Or is it? That's just the name of the place.
That
Yeah, I
is
think-
it. But
yeah.
but when Wanda first steps into that like mirror dimension trap and all the
Yeah.
spikes come in,
Oh yeah.
that was probably like my favorite effect in the movie.
It's
And then when she
fantastic.
sticks her hand in the water, basically,
Mhm.
and pulls people down, I think
Mhm.
that was probably one of my favorites. And when she comes out and chases America and Wong and Strange, and she's like all like disjointed.
Yeah.
like, kinda
That
like-
was like,
She
and like,
contorts
snaps
her
neck
body.
back in place.
Yeah,
like,
you kind of hear like some cracking kind of noises as she contorts back
Which-
into form. Yeah.
I do want to talk about the horror elements real quick. They definitely kept me on edge. They do have a couple, jump scares,
There's like
but they were
three jump scares, I think 3 or 4.
yeah, they weren't that. That's like they weren't that scary, but they do kind of like. Let me put it this way: I'm a little bit on the feeble side. They got me to jump a little bit, but they weren't like super intense. or
Which one
anything.
got you?
I'm trying to think which one did. Now I gotta remember, like the
Probably Pizza Papa.
not
That
Pizza
one got
Papa.
Ian.
Oh, we'll get to
We'll
him.
talk about
I'll
Pizza
talk
Papa.
about it
No,
later.
it's like those
Joking.
those
That
monsters
was
at the
fun.
top of the mountain. The first time that they come out of nowhere, that kind of
Oh,
got me. But like the jump scares all got me to like flinch a little, but none of them spooked
They kept
me.
you alert, not
They
scared.
kept me alert, not scared.
Yeah.
I think
Which-
the two best.
Let me put it this way: it's not a
You
horror
first.
movie, and it has like horror elements, and they do definitely show,
Mhm.
but they don't. They won't. This movie won't scare you. I don't think.
Unless you're like a very small child, then Wanda might be scary.
Don't bring
'Cause-
your small children to this movie.
Oh yeah, because Wanda, like in the second, like third act, is like literally a serial killer. Like she has the limp and she walks slow and just murders everyone in her path.
I would put that one out there. Like, out of most MCU films, yeah, if you bring really small children to it, maybe not a good idea.
Yeah.
This one does bring out the gore here and there.
Oh
It's
yeah,
not
like in
always
the
in your
first, like,
face,
couple
but
minutes
yeah.
there's gore.
Even
Yeah.
like Joey said, when the camera actually focuses on
Defender
Defender
Strange's like
Strange's
gash on
leg,
his
yeah.
leg.
Yeah.
Where he's
You
trying
can
to
see it
contain that
through.
monster.
Yeah, this is
And
like
then,
surprisingly brutal for an MCU
Shumagrass
movie.
eye getting pulled out right there. You just
Mm.
kind of have an idea of what
Oh,
they
yeah.
can do.
Yep.
And that's like only in like the
Yeah,
first
you
like
can see,
10,
like, the
15
synapses
minutes.
on the back.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Eternals
Yeah.
deaths, or not the Eternals, the Illuminati deaths. Which one was your
Which
guys
was it?
like?
Which was
Which one was like the? I think Black Bolt's like seeing like
His head
head
caved
explode
in.
into his
Yeah.
mask.
And just the implications of what happened to Captain Carter.
Oh yeah, like you
Mhm.
knew. It's like Revenge of the Sith.
Mhm,
Remember Anakin and Dooku? And then you like see like his head like roll
mhm.
like in the back corner. Like you don't even see it explicitly get cut off. Is there any more Doctor Strange stuff you guys want to talk about?
Characters.
Oh, America Chavez. We didn't talk about her yet.
No.
She's like probably the most important character in like this movie, just because she's like, what was the character you said? A Ruffin? What? She's
am I
like the
thinking about?
what of the movie?
She's the MacGuffin.
MacGuffin.
Essentially,
Thank you.
like think
I almost
of
said McMuffin.
it's all good. The McMuffin. Oh,
No,
so
I liked America Chavez.
like for example, you think of like Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's the Ark. That's what everybody's trying to get.
Yeah.
Infinity War. Everyone's trying to get those Infinity Stones. This one, a person is actually the MacGuffin.
Yeah.
It's her powers, but that adds an interesting dynamic to it because essentially she could die if she uses, or like for instance, the beginning, Protector. What is it? Defender Strange.
Defender Strange.
Like he would have killed her if he got the powers.
Yeah, because
So
everyone wants her power, and basically, for those who don't know, she can basically travel to different multiverses.
mhm. She can punch a
not
hole
at will
through.
at first, but she's
Yeah.
capable of being accurate about it.
Can I just say that effect whenever she does anything, like the star-shaped
I was
punch
just
in the
about to
glass?
say.
I love
Yeah.
that effect.
Yeah, the
so
star,
much.
how it like actually pops in and like you
Mhm.
can actually see the other like multiverses, and it has like a strobe effect.
That's
It's got
so
a nice
it's
blue
so
star.
cool.
It looks really nice. Also, yeah, I guess if you're gonna have like a rookie of the year for like MCU,
It'd definitely
like,
be American
oh,
Chavez.
yeah.
Because like, here's the thing. I went
got
into
a
this
different
like
take.
I didn't know much about her. I thought she was gonna be so annoying, but no, they handled her really well.
Yeah, they didn't make her annoying.
Her
That's
dynamic
a
with
big
Strange
thing
was
there.
really well handled.
she seems, you know what's funny? She seems more mature at her age than Peter Parker did
Yeah.
at,
see that,
at his
yeah.
point in Spider-Man
Like,
when he first started.
You know, she's still got the whole thing like, "Hey, dude, hey, man," when
Yeah, she
talking to
said,
Doctor
"Shut
Strange.
up."
But yeah, she's
No,
not
I
just
like her,
like
though.
she's not like, "You can't tell me what to do," and then like just creating problems.
No,
for
yeah,
Doctor
she's
Strange.
very
she's very
Grounded.
what do you
mature
call it?
and she listens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's working with
Like
people
we're
and trying
describing her
to
like she's
figure it
like
out.
a student, like it's parent teacher conference.
It's like now
She finishes her homework.
it's like now she's starting to get the she's starting to learn the mystic arts. That's
Yep,
gonna be
she's
cool. I'm
training.
excited to
Yep.
see her in more movies. To be fair, granted, Peter Parker didn't go through all the tragedy yet. She already lost her parents, you know, with the discovering her powers.
Yeah, it's
You know,
true.
Peter. I mean, granted, we still haven't seen Spider-Man freshman year yet, so
Yeah,
we don't
know
know
about- we
the
don't
story
know
of his
about
Uncle Ben.
Uncle.
Uncle.
If it's
Uncle
even gonna be Uncle Ben, we'll see. Well, it is Uncle Ben.
We're gonna
but
throw that in the video.
Uncle
But,
the Funky Bunch.
YouTube poop.
No, he
Ian's,
didn't.
Ian's got
You-
YouTube
I
poop
mean-
on the brain.
I was thinking of fish. No, not fish. Yeah, fish pins with Uncle.
Oh
Uncle.
yeah,
No, but
Everyone knows
we haven't
that,
seen
right?
his Uncle Ben yet, but you know his equivalent is more so Aunt May. No Way Home. Spoosh. No Way Home.
yeah.
But-
which everyone and their mom and uncle and daddy Dunkle have seen. So yeah, Aunt May died.
But it's
Oh,
like
man.
no,
that's
it was
his like great power of responsibility.
great power, great
moment,
responsibility.
so.
Which again, I really liked how it was
She said it
handled
correctly. She's the only one that said it correctly.
Said what?
with
Like
great
the
power.
line
There
from the
comes
comic,
Oh.
there must also come.
there must also come great responsibility.
Yeah, you're
Everyone
right.
else just says with great power
Comes great responsibility,
Mhm.
which I mean rolls off the tongue.
Well,
better,
yeah, that's
but-
fine. I'm not mad
No,
about
but
it.
that's
I'm just saying
still
it's
a nice nod.
That's the comic accurate one.
But
Shout out to No Way Home.
yeah,
It was okay.
fantastic.
it
was okay.
Oh,
No, it
Mid.
was great.
No,
Yeah.
great movie. But no, his origin story spread out over the course of all those movies. Well handled. They got past the Iron Man Jr. phase, and you know he lost basically a second father figure with Stark. But
Which, by the way, I wanted to talk about Mr. Fantastic and Spider-Man. I talked to you about this.
Yeah, you talked to me about
Yesterday.
this.
I'm in the dark about this.
How do you-
About you know, in the comics when Peter first gets a symbiote, he goes to Mr. Fantastic to do tests
Ooh.
on it. I wonder if they're gonna do that in the MCU.
That would be interesting.
I
That'd be good.
think they should.